ZipRecruiter, I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard about it, so I'm just going to read it to you. It's a must-have. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click. So you can rest easy knowing your job is being seen by the right candidates, okay? ZipRecruiter puts its smart matching technology to work, actively notifying qualified candidates about your job within minutes of posting so you receive the best possible matches. That's why our ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you. It finds them. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. One more time to try it for free, to go to ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. It's something you need to know. Because right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A.
Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Cut the damn music. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airways of ESPN Radio. That's 98.7 FM New York City. That's 710 ESPN in L.A. And, of course, nationwide over the airways of ESPN Radio, Sirius XM style, Channel 80. Got a lot of NFL stuff to get into. Of course, a little bit of NBA as well. I'm in Philadelphia. Cleveland Cavaliers will be playing the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid will be going up against LeBron James and the crew. Can't wait for that. Obviously, a lot of football stuff to get into. The Jets blowing the game against the Carolina Panthers yesterday. The Los Angeles Rams are legitimizing themselves more and more every week. And, of course, the Chargers in a position to possibly win the AFC West. A whole bunch of stuff. Steelers winning last night, even though the game was tougher than it should have been. Tom Brady getting beat up by Miami, even though he routed them. Philadelphia Eagles still looking like the best team in football. Whole bunch of stuff to get into, and I intend to. But you're going to have to forgive me because I got something on my mind. I got something on my mind because I don't know whether to be furious and ticked off and just leave it at that, or to allow the level of depression to overtake me as it pertains to how much as a society we have regressed. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about the United States of America, and obviously we don't need to get political here, but we talk about the United States of America, and we talk about this country being the greatest country on God's green earth. We talk about the rights that we have as American citizens. We talk about innocence until proven guilty. We talk about all of these things that we lean on and hold on to for dear life because it makes our country what we are. It's why people are willing to go through everything from jungles to shark-infested waters, to go through all of these things and beyond just to come over to this nation. It's why you've got folks out there talking about building a wall to keep folks out, because so many people want to come to the United States of America. It's about what we stand for. It's about what we're supposed to be about. And without getting too deep into the weeds, waxing poetically about our nation and what we stand for and what have you, let me bring it back directly to where it should be in the sports world today. And that is what is the travesty, the miscarriage of justice that took place at the University of Tennessee this past weekend. Greg Schiano, former coach at Rutgers, did a decent job there, by the way. Took the worst program arguably in America and made it a competitor for a national championship at one point for one season. That same Greg Schiano, who didn't do a good job at Tampa Bay, that same Greg Schiano who I've met just one time, I don't know him from a can of paint. That same Greg Schiano has been railroaded. He's been screwed over. He's received a raw deal. And as far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, anybody with any core decency in their heart should feel just as ticked off and riled up as I am this morning. This is a disgrace. A flat-out disgrace. And I'm not on these airwaves, on this particular show, talking about Greg Schiano, the great football coach that's being robbed. I don't know what kind of damn job he would have done at Tennessee. I don't know whether he would have been just as good, if not better, than Phil, than Philma, the former coach, or anybody else. I don't know whether he would have stunk at the job. I have no clue. But for this man to miss out, to have the University of Tennessee essentially renege, not essentially, but literally renege on an agreed deal for him to be the head coach because of some proposed involvement in the whole Jerry Sandusky child molestation scandal, it's beyond the pale. It's beyond the pale. And anybody who isn't sick to their stomach over what has happened to this man, you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to say something over these airwaves right here on ESPN Radio that I have never said about anybody in my career. I might have called for somebody to be fired because, damn it, their results just weren't great. Or their actions were so egregious, you know what, you had to make that decision. But I was never happy about it. But I want to state for the record, any fan, any of those sorry, no good protesters, anybody associated with Tennessee who directly had something to do with reneging on the promise that this man would be the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers, pox on all your damn houses. I hope all of y'all lose your jobs. I don't give a damn if you're a construction worker. You work at the post office. You're an administration official. You're the president. I don't give a damn who it is. Whoever had something to do with this man losing out on this job, whoever instigated this mob scene that took place in Tennessee, let me tell y'all something right now. Pox on all your damn houses. I hope whatever job you have, you get fired. I hope nothing but misery comes your way. I hope the same kind of misery that you probably have caused this man in his life happens to you. This is a disgrace. Now, let me get specific, okay? For those of you who don't know what happened and exactly what transpired. Greg Schiano was a Penn State assistant from 1990 to 1995. Okay? If y'all recall, Jerry Sandusky, who was convicted in 2012 of 45 counts of child molestation. If ever there was an individual that deserved to be thrown under the damn cell with a bunch of sodomites, it's him. Well, what he did to kids. According to some former assistant coach, Mike McQueary, okay? Because I'm just giving you the story here. Mike McQueary gave testimony during a deposition. I believe it was a court deposition from 2015 with a former graduate assistant. He wasn't even an assistant coach. He was a graduate assistant. Said he admitted he walked in on Sandusky and a boy in a shower. And he accused Schiano of seeing something similar because apparently a former assistant coach, Tom Bradley, had told him so. Greg Schiano has emphatically denied it. Said he knew nothing of such a thing. Matter of fact, was quoted weeks later, if not days later, saying if he had seen something like that, he would have put Sandusky through a wall. Bradley, the former assistant, confirmed he didn't see anything either, and he didn't tell McQueary that Schiano had seen anything. So what you have is McQueary, the graduate assistant, intimating that Schiano knew of of at least one action by Jerry Sandusky, one act. And even he got that second hand. He didn't see it directly. He didn't hear from Schiano directly. Somebody told him that Schiano said something to them. Schiano denies it. The person who supposedly told McQuarrie that, and Mr. Bradley, he denied it. And that's all you have. Schiano has been vetted by Tampa. He's the defensive coordinator at Ohio State under the great Urban Meyer. He's been vetted. You've got Bill Belichick, the head coach for the New England Patriots, whose son played for Schiano at Rutgers. He said he would vouch for his character 100%. You have nothing on this man. And there's a mob scene on the campus of the University of Tennessee with people plastering posters up, accusing Schiano of hiding child rape, covering up child rape. How could you do that to this man? How could you do that to any human being? No evidence whatsoever. You don't want Schiano as your coach. You don't want him as your coach. That's fair. But to use Jerry Sandusky's reign of terror as a child molester, to associate Schiano's name with that, based on nothing more than hearsay, it's criminal. It is so wrong on so many levels. It should make you want to cry. You know, there's a player that used to play at Rutgers once. His name is Eric LeGrand. Remember what happened to him? Remember in 2010, I believe it was, when he got paralyzed from a hit on a football field after making a tackle in 2010? Paralyzed from the shoulders down. You know, there's this article out there where it's talking about how Schiano drove an hour away every day to see the kid, to be by his bedside, to help him the best way he could, to make sure that this kid had the best of everything. It's in a Rutgers University newspaper, I believe. And it's talking about how LeGrand just gets reduced to tears thinking about how much of a father figure Greg Schiano has been to him. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? All of that ain't even necessary. As beautiful as that story is, as great as it makes Greg Schiano look, as decent at his core as it is evident that he is, it ain't even necessary. There's no human being that this should happen to. There's no excuse for this. You don't want him to be the coach of your football program, use football reasons to justify it. But for a mere accusation that has never been corroborated, has never been confirmed, for him to lose out on a job because his name is associated with child molestation, him being accused of covering up the actions of Jerry Sandusky, to use that to keep this man from getting a job. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I've lost faith. This is one of those moments where I've lost faith in some people in this country. And damn it, dare I say the human race. That's all it takes to sit here and accuse this man with no evidence whatsoever of this, and to have his name associated with this, just to keep him from getting a football job. And they got away with it. because of Tennessee's weak, pathetic selves. Those fans who were protesting. Those officials who caved. Pox on all your damn houses. I wish you nothing but misery. 866-729-ESPN. More of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio on its way in a minute.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
It really stinks to the high heavens. And, you know, a little bit later on in the show, I have no doubt that my man Carlton in Tampa will call in because he always does. And he's a phenomenal caller. But the thing about it is that it speaks to just the overreactions. I mean, we are living in an age where you don't have to have any proof. You can just sit up there and accuse somebody of anything with no evidence whatsoever and ruin their opportunities. Ruin them. That is not what we're supposed to be about. Greg Schiano did not deserve this. I don't know the man from a can of paint. There's absolutely positively zero evidence that has been displayed or conveyed that remotely attaches itself to his guilt. He's been vetted by Ohio State. He was vetted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of the National Football League. He was at Rutgers for 11 years. And whenever you hear anybody say anything to him, clearly he made mistakes in Tampa, a bit too rigid, a bit too strict, to some degree a bit too predictable at times, etc., etc. No one has questioned his character. No one. How could you do that to this man? How could you have this man's name associated with child molestation? Coming at him like he tried to cover it up. What evidence do you have? When I talked about Penn State deserving the death penalty, that's when Joe Paterno was alive. Joe Paterno was running the program. And there was ample evidence that he had been contacted, that he was made aware of Sandusky's actions, and he was concerned about his football program. Sandusky was retired and still allowed to have an office, literally serving as using Penn State's football program to serve as a recruiting tool for him to get closer to kids. There has been no such evidence whatsoever about Greg Schiano, who has emphatically denied any knowledge. Sandusky was doing this since 1976. Schiano arrived from 90 to 95. This is a travesty. It's a travesty. Elon, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Go ahead.
I agree with you 100%. Just to piggyback on what you said, this guy's got multiple jobs since then after the testimony. And this is also the same guy that drafted Eric LeGrand when he coached for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I also played high school ball. This guy would have Rutgers donate a ton of old, weightlifting equipment to a lot of high schools. I've never once heard a bad thing about Greg Schiano on this side of the space, that's for sure.
You know what? It's not. You know what the problem with is, Elon? I don't care about that. The fact of the matter is, I don't give a damn if he wasn't the nicest person. I don't give a damn if he wasn't the most charitable person, because it's all subjective. Nice to one person is phony to another. We don't know. The point is, The man has done nothing to be associated with child molestation. You're not accusing this man of not being a good coach. They're accusing this man of hiding child molestation. And Tennessee caved in. It's a disgrace. Any football coach worth his salt out there shouldn't even be thinking about going to Tennessee. What a weak administration. No evidence. None. Appreciate the call. Stephen, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Today. I just want to say, first of all, I appreciate your passion and in everything that you address, no matter what the issue is. I do appreciate it. I'm going to tell you that I'm a Tennessee fan. And I would say that, granted, the man has not been proven to have any issues with this child molestation case or whatever the case might be. And I understand he's had numerous jobs. He's at a good job right now, blah, blah, blah. But what I would say, and all the stuff that I read even yesterday, is that when the man was given an opportunity to get on the witness stand under oath and talk about what he didn't see, he did not take that opportunity. And for me, that's a red flag. Or, to take it even a step further, if the people who said that they saw you see a certain thing that they didn't see you see.
Well, stop right there. That's not what happened. That's not what happened, Stephen. The fact is you had Coach McQuarrie say that he was told Greg Schiano knew. He was told because the person, in other words, the person that spoke to the graduate assistant, Mike McQuarrie, said that Greg Schiano told him. That person later came out and said, McQuarrie's not telling the truth. I didn't tell McQuarrie any such thing. And Schiano said that's a flat-out lie.
I would say put me under oath so I can prove my innocence. What
innocence? Prove what? Because the fact of the matter is he wasn't being called under oath. What was he being called under oath for?
To refute the allegation, Stephen A. To say, look, I got nothing to do with this. I didn't see nothing. I didn't hear nothing. But when given the opportunity, he did not do that. That's a red flag for me.
He stated it publicly. He stated it publicly. He stated, listen, think about this for a second here. What does he have to say? How you going to prove that he knew something? I mean, think about, listen, if this man committed a crime, if there was emails, voicemails, or something like that, I get where you're coming from. But you have a graduate assistant saying an assistant coach told him something, and you have Greg Schiano and told him that Greg Schiano knew something that Greg Schiano was swearing he didn't know, and that assistant coach saying, I never told him any such thing. And there's always tentacles that come to this story. Because once Jerry Sandusky has been indicted and ultimately convicted, and then you've got a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, you got a lot of people that don't want to get involved in that, Stephen, because they're thinking about their careers. I got nothing to do with this. I ain't trying to be involved in this in any capacity. It wasn't like he was subpoenaed and didn't show up. Because if he was subpoenaed, he'd have to show up. These are the kind of things we got to think about. 866-729-3776. More to Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
We'll continue with these calls in regards to Greg Schiano, but I also wanted to applaud. I want to say congratulations to the city of Los Angeles. You definitely got one playoff team. You might have two. Because not only are the Los Angeles Rams flat out balling, and even though the jury is still out in my mind for Jared Goff, I can't ignore what I've been seeing. This brother can play. He's got a damn good arm. He's making the necessary throws. He's going through his progressions, and the Sammy Watkins of the world and everybody else. They've got an arsenal in St. Louis. Their defense is big time. You saw what they did to Drew Brees yesterday. Kamara had a big run, but other than that, he had 4 carries for 13 yards the rest of the way, and Ingram didn't do but so much. Michael Thomas was held in check. Drew Brees was held in check. You look at the Los Angeles Rams right now, they're incredibly impressive. I tell you what it ensures. It ensures that Jeff Fisher will never get another head coaching job again. Because when you see the difference between the job he did and the job Sean McVay is doing, it's night and day. Look at how Jared Goff looks now compared to how he looked last year under Jeff Fisher. And you really, really, really don't need any more evidence than that. On the flip side, you look in the AFC conference, and we thought that the San Diego Chargers were dead. Anthony Lynn's doing a hell of a job with them. They got a shot to win AFC West. And maybe they could fill some seats at the StubHub spot, but you got a veteran quarterback in Phillip Rivers. You got Gordon who can run the football for you. You got Keenan Allen, who looks like the second coming of Jerry Rice over the last couple of weeks. And I don't know if y'all have noticed or not, but this kid, Joey Bosa, special. They're getting after the quarterback. San Diego Chargers, something to look forward to. Wish I could say the same about the Kansas City Chiefs. Lost another game yesterday. But I just don't feel that way. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give it to you straight. I've never been sold on Alex Smith. I've considered him a game manner, relatively pedestrian. I know he's completing better than 68% of his passes. He's got 19 touchdown passes in 11 games. He's a damn good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I just don't believe in him. Not when it counts. He's not the guy that's going to get you over the hump. He just ain't that guy. And I know my man Carlton's about to get on me because Patrick Mahomes is a rookie. And maybe I should have learned my lesson because the Bills tried that with Tyrod Taylor and all of this other stuff. Light a fire under Alex Smith. I'm not saying replace him for the rest of the season or something, but do something to rattle him. I mean, I'm sick and tired of him being pedestrian. Take a chance. Be productive. I mean, I just, whether it's Tyreek Hill, it's Kareem Hunt, whomever. I mean, Kelsey and these. Look, I know the defense is the bigger problem. They ain't been the same since Eric Berry's been out. Can't get at the quarterback. I got it. I understand. Alex Smith is not the problem. There are other problems that Andy Reid has in Kansas City. I'm just not sold. Just like with Pittsburgh last night. Yeah, they won the game. Okay. But I didn't see anything that tells me they're going to beat Tom Brady. Antonio Brown's a bad brother. You got Martavis Bryant. You got Le'Veon Bell. You got Jesse James. You got Eli Rogers. You got, it's Juju Smith-Schuster didn't even play last night. And still the Steelers are loaded. But somehow, some way, you just sit up there and say this is going to come down to Brady versus Big Ben Roethlisberger. And you need to see greatness from Roethlisberger. Him being good ain't good enough. He's got to be great, and he's got to want to be great. Because it's going to come down to him. That's just how I feel about it. It's just how I feel about it. 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. To your calls in a minute. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
I reminisce. Ow. To the phones we go. Back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's go to Carlton in Tampa. I knew I'd hear from him today. Good morning, good afternoon, Carlton. How are you?
I'm well, but I worry about you, Stephen A. I don't know whether Max has infected you or whether now that you're 50 years old, you've got early onset dementia. 10 days ago, you and Max were both arguing that the Buffalo Bills needed to replace Tyrod Taylor with Nathan Peterman, and we all saw how that worked out, 5 interceptions in the first half. Today on your program, you and Max are arguing that the Kansas City Chiefs should replace Alex Smith with Patrick Mahomes. Let me tell you, Alex Smith has the second highest passer rating in the NFL this year, behind only Tom Brady. He has the second highest TD to interception ratio in the NFL this year.
That's because he hardly throws either. 19 touchdowns
and completion ratio in the NFL behind Drew Brees.
Listen. We all have our own philosophies. Let's if we're gonna tell a story, Carlton, let's tell it right. What I said was, when the Bills decided to bench Tyrod Taylor, I knew nothing about Peterman whatsoever. What I did know is that players and folks from the organization were questioning Tyrod Taylor, going through his progressions, et cetera, holding the ball too long. More importantly, they knew that he wasn't their quarterback for the future. They had no intentions of keeping him. So you try it out. Fine. But it was a disaster. In this particular instance, what I'm saying is light a fire under Alex Smith. This dude came out like gangbusters for the first couple of games this year. They tailed off after I believe it was like a 5-0 start. I'm looking at them right now, and I'm just saying to myself, you got losses to Pittsburgh, Oakland, Dallas, the Giants, and the Bills. And I'm looking at it from the perspective that even though Alex Smith has decent numbers, because he always does, in the end, you know that with him, you're going to the playoffs and you're going home.
Look, Stephen A., Peterman had a 54% completion ratio in the preseason, and you and Max were saying he had a good preseason. So I don't know what you guys were looking at when you were
No, I didn't say that. I said that's what they were trying to say about him. These are the kind of things that they were saying to each other, and they were saying to the local media members. I didn't know a damn thing about Peterman, and I made that very clear.
Who you call Check Down Alex has the 7th highest yards per pass attempt this year in the NFL. Who you lamented only has 19 touchdowns this year. Well, that's 7th highest in the NFL this year. Only one behind your big favorite there, Ben Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers, who are only one touchdown ahead of him. He saw 19 TDs and 4 interceptions, and you want to replace the guy in the middle of a playoff run? Are you out of your mind, Stephen A?
Listen, they're 6-5. I think they're going in the wrong direction. I think they need a spark. I don't give a damn if you bring the dude in for the first quarter, see what he's got. You certainly don't owe Alex Smith anything. You've paid him handsomely. He hasn't gotten you anywhere but to one playoff victory. I mean, the fact of the matter is that he's a damn good quarterback. Nobody's denying that, but he's not that guy that could take you to the next level. I don't see any problems, Carlton. I can understand your argument if I'm saying bench him, put Mahomes in, don't look back, forget all of that. He's sorry. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you kind of need a spark, man. You gotta take that into consideration. It matters.
I just think that, you just don't change when he stumbles a little bit. He's had two bad games. He had 3 really good games in those 5 losses. It's just that the other team outplayed them, outplayed the team. And so you just don't, when you're in first place in the West, when you're in the midst of a playoff run, you don't swap out a known commodity, a known good commodity, for a complete unknown. You just don't do it. I think that what's-his-face should be fired in Buffalo if they don't make the playoffs after putting Peterman in and choking up a game in the midst of a playoff run.
Okay, all right. You feel that way, and we're going to have to respectfully disagree on this one, Carlton, because I wouldn't mind taking a chance. Even if it's just for a quarter or a half, I got to see what somebody else could give me because I know what I'm getting from Alex Smith. I just know.
Yeah, first place in the West. That's what you're getting.
You've lost 5 of your last 6. You've lost 5 of your last 6 games. That doesn't matter to you?
But you still got your whole destiny. You control your destiny. You continue to win. You make the playoffs.
I understand that. You've lost 5 of your last 6. Why not try something? What's wrong with that? Let me ask you a question. If Alex Smith is this stud that you swear he is in your own way, Carlton, what's the matter with him sitting down for a quarter or a half?
I'll tell you.
He ain't gonna be able to recover. He's not gonna be. He's that soft that he's not gonna be able to recover.
You didn't learn your lesson from Buffalo when you shoved the new guy in there.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Tyrod Taylor and what happened to him actually proved my point because he came back in the next week and what did he do? He won.
What happens if they miss the playoffs by one game, Stephen? When they gave away a game,
then come talk to me then. Because last time I checked, listen, the Kansas City Chiefs have 1 victory since October 8th. Alex Smith played every game. That's the way I'm going. I got to go.
When they were 5-0, he played all those games when they went 5-0.
Right then, I wasn't calling for him to be benched. I wasn't calling for him to be benched then.
Second highest passer rating in the NFL, Stephen A. through 11 games. Second highest.
Carlton, we disagree on this one, my brother. we disagree.
I just worry about you. I think you need to get a check.
I'm worried. Hold on. Was I worried about you when you found every reason under the sun to condemn Bill Belichick at every turn? No.
I got to figure out his latest cheating scandal. There's something going on.
Take it easy, Carlton.
They're fumbling up.
Take it easy, Carlton. Carlton is relentless, man, but I love him. I really, really do. 866-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Mike in Denver. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, Mike.
What's happening with you, man?
Talk to me.
Want to talk about the guy.
Great Schiano.
Great Schiano. Worst thing in the world, man. How do you take food off a man's table behind something like that? Unheard of. They need to be. That's a shame, Stephen. A shame,
no proof. Man. No proof whatsoever. And listen, it ain't like you accused a man of robbing a deli or something. I mean, this is child molestation. Child molestation. No proof whatsoever. They got posters hanging out outside. He tried to cover it up. It's shameful, man. It's shameful.
Terrible, man. I felt bad for the man, and I hope he get another opportunity to get another head coaching job, But it was just disgraceful, man. But I got to run, man. Nice having you on.
Bro. Always, man. We'll talk. Let's go to Jeremiah. What's going on, man? How are you? Talk to me.
Hey, man. How's it going?
All right.
Talk about the Saints game yesterday against the Rams.
Yeah.
Basically, my whole outtake of it is that Drew Brees, I don't think he's done. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You got the best pound for pound, 210 running back in the backfield right now. That it got you.
Wait a minute. You ain't about to blame this. You ain't about to blame yesterday's loss on Drew Brees, are you?
No. About to blame yesterday's loss on the coaching staff, Sean Payton.
Because
of the fact that you right now, what's been your recipe for winning is what you went away from yesterday in prime time when you could have had the ball, control the clock, because both of your starting cornerbacks are out of the game. Not blaming the Saints defense, of course. The Saints defense actually did an good job outside of not having two starting cornerbacks.
That's fair. That's fair, but I don't think you listen. Other than the 74-yard by Kamara, he had 4 carries for 13 yards. Mark Ingram had 11 carries for 31 yards. You could tell during the game that running the football was going to be something difficult for them to do. And as a result of that, I don't know if I can knock Sean Payton in this particular game for that. They got out-muscled. They got roughed up a little bit by the Rams, who played tough. And they got some personnel on the defensive side of the ball led by Aaron Donald that's just big time, no doubt about that. But yesterday was just a bad game. But I don't think their running game was that stout, and I think we need to remember that. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Hour number 2 up next. Continue talking about all the NFL action that took place yesterday. Of course, tonight's game in Philadelphia with the Cavs visiting. And, of course, Derrick Rose and what's really going on with him. Hour number 2 up next.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.